On this episode of That Kingsville Podcast, it's just me and Kev. Woo. Yeah, Steve, we kicked him out. No, we didn't kick him out. He's got obligations. He'll be back next episode with a lot of really fun, interesting things to talk about. This episode, we've got Jeff Burrows from the Tea Party and Crash Karma talking about the events that both the Tea Party and the Saints are going to be performing over the next couple of months. So stay tuned for this episode of That Kingsville Podcast. That Kingsville Podcast is brought to you by Kingsville Brewery. Here to make all your beer dreams come true is Kingsville Brewery's holiday gift packs. Each gift pack includes a variety 4-pack, 2 17-ounce branded glasses, and a $25 gift card to the Kingsville Brewery Tap House.
What does it contain?
Tongue twisters. It contains massive amounts of tongue twisters.
4 packs.
No, a variety 4-pack.
Yeah.
Not 4 packs, a variety.
So you're featuring 4 packs. So you could purchase a 4-pack, a variety 4-pack.
Yes,
but there are several variety 4-packs available for sale.
Sure. Yes. I love this guy. Yes, a variety 4-pack, 2 17-ounce branded glasses, and a $25 gift card to the Kingsville Brewery Tap House.
Beauty.
Yeah, that's actually, I would not mind that under my Christmas tree this holiday season. It's available at their online store and at kingsvillebrewery.com/shop. Thank you, Kingsville Brewery, for sponsoring my tongue twister and That Kingsville Podcast.
And for the 4-pack.
And for the variety 4-pack. Six of the variety. Yeah. Anyway, thank you, Kingsville Brewery. Welcome to That Kingsville Podcast. I'm your host, Dave Hunt. With me, Kevin Black. No Steve.
No Steve.
Steve's out. Kevin, you didn't join us for the parade.
I know. So now I had to make it up. Yeah. So I got rid of Steve.
So exactly. It was
so I got more airtime.
One-on-one with Kevin and Dave. No, you missed another great parade. 70 some odd floats. A lot of people downtown. Gary, you can attest. It was freezing. And I know you were on holiday.
Yeah.
And you went to Canada.
I was in Canada.
You were in Canada.
Yeah.
Like winter Canada.
So I was in the Muskokas.
And how many centimeters of snow?
So while you were on the balcony announcing the parade floats, we were at Santa's Village in Bracebridge.
Ooh.
Yeah, walking around, went on some rides. And let me tell you, it was frigid.
I don't doubt it.
Right beside, I think it's Lake Muskoka. I
believe so, yeah.
I think it's on Lake Muskoka. So there's like a train, like you sit on the train that takes you around the village.
Was it fun, Mia?
Mia, who's here off camera, my daughter.
Hi, Mia.
So we were on the train. It was so cold. So cold. It was awesome. Right, Mia? Awesome. You can talk loud. We can hear you.
Yeah.
It was awesome. But it was frigid.
Yeah.
So I was equally as cold, but only you were looking at like a small dusting of snow, and
actually, it didn't snow at all until we finished packing. And we were jumping in the car. Like I had the heat cranked and the seat heat cranked, and it was like stood in a hot shower. Mm-hmm. And I looked out the window as I got back in my house, and that's when it started snowing. The parade, everybody was down at the park doing, they didn't do fireworks because it was high winds.
Yeah.
But that I was like, well, we kind of, missed the whole Christmas end of the parade with the snow. But it was not pleasant.
So we were at the very tail end of 14 inches of snow.
Wow.
Yeah, it was a lot.
Wow.
It was a lot.
And you were up there for 10 days?
We were there for a week.
A week.
Yeah. And then came back on the Monday. So it was like Thursday, like when it was basically the time when Buffalo got like 17 feet of snow. We got 14 inches.
They got 77 inches.
Yeah, it's so insane.
77. I don't even know. I can't even count that high. Can you count how high, Mia? Okay, we'll go with
pushing it. It's pushing it. That's 6 feet, 6.5 feet.
I don't know.
6.5 feet.
Wow, that's taller than me. Yeah. Holy cow.
It's a lot of snow.
So yeah, he's away, with some family business, which we're hoping that in the next episode, Steve and his daughter will be on to share their experiences, which is pretty exciting because it's an incredibly unique opportunity that I think the story to be told worth telling and worth understanding. But some other things in Kingsville that have gone on. So council, they've been
before we move on from the parade. I have to ask because I have been advocating for this for years. Yeah. Did the 1 hour make a difference? I guess it was so cold it probably didn't seem like it.
No, it didn't make a difference.
No. It needs to be
actually
needs to be 4.
So I sorry, did you say it needs to be 4?
I think it needs to be one more hour earlier.
I disagree with that. And here you go. Here's why. It has to be dark. Exactly. There were many of the floats that had lighting displays, and because we had to set up early, if those floats had gone on the parade route, you wouldn't have had the appreciation of the effort and the detail that those floats went into it. I agree that 5 o'clock time slot did not make the difference between 5 and 6. However, this year may be a bit of an anomaly with the high winds. Yeah. So I'm hoping that I don't think it had such a greater effect. There was some complaints from my co-host that night, but that's just what Steve does, right, Steve? Right, Steve? We don't want to admit Kevin was right, but no, it honestly, in my opinion. But then again, I don't have young kids that are dependent on a fixed schedule. So my kids didn't even come to the parade because my wife bribed them and said that she would buy them candy if she didn't have to stand outside with them for the hour that the parade took in order to avoid that uncomfortable, which is fine. That's fine. You can watch it on That Kingsville Podcast YouTube channel.
Live? Were you guys live?
We were live. We were live. Live streamed. Gary, what do we like at the time of this recording, last day of November 2022, we were at about 1,000 views. So, we thank everybody for watching on Facebook and on YouTube. I'm going to ask again, please like and subscribe because it's such. Gary said, "Yeah, but
I know.
The stats,
you have to say it.
Our viewership, 93% of people that watch our podcast on YouTube aren't subscribers.
Okay, subscribe.
3%.
Like and subscribe.
It does help us.
Can we say it the other way so we can
subscribe and like,
just so that we're different? Because then it doesn't sound as like. YouTube
boilerplate.
Basic. Like and subscribe.
It does.
Subscribe and like.
Yeah, and I understand why everybody asks it. It's just it's like you're pandering.
Yeah.
Anyway, so transitioning now.
Okay.
So we had a second float in after the very loud fire trucks that you didn't hear this year. I was smart though. I just waited. I was like, and that's fire truck 124 and 342. And then they honked, and sirens. And I was like, I'm not going to try to compete with them.
No.
So second float in was a lot of the new council and new mayor in the train that went down to the park. And now they are sworn in. So
speaking of training.
We don't have Steve for the dad joke, so Kevin's really got to pull all the weight. Training. Good delivery though.
Thanks.
They've undergone there's some of their sessions where they're starting their onboarding and a lot of the procedure and policy and whatnot. So we're hoping in the new year, a couple of meetings in, we got stuff to talk about with what they're gonna start,
doing things,
doing and discussing and not doing and whatnot.
Budget. That'd be the biggie.
Oh,
it's coming.
Boy.
It's coming.
You and Steve are just going to be so excited for budget.
Can't wait.
Budget 23.
I heard rumors that the full package was like they were going to still have it available, but they weren't going to make it. That's not going to be the released version of the document. It'll be available. They're not hiding it, as I was told.
Reassured
Kevin, several times.
We are
not hiding the full budget, but they are going to make an easily digestible produced version of the budget, which I will dutifully ignore and then ask for my 75 pages of accounting.
Please allow me the details so that if I have a question, I can find the line item that I can test.
Yeah.
So we got that to look forward to.
I love mill rates. I love mill rates. They're one of my favorite things.
How many drainage projects have we approved this year?
Yeah.
Road resurfacing.
Get right down. Let's get to the nitty gritty.
Kevin, road resurfacing.
Road. Duh.
Yeah. So we got on Jasperson, the new school yet to be named.
Yeah.
Steel is up. So we're starting to see structure.
Mm-hmm.
And then Road 2, we got a publication from the town today. December 23rd, it'll be reopened for the winter season. So until December, still impassable. But December 23rd, so for Christmas, we get Road 2 back.
Yeah. So Christmas present.
Until spring, when it's closed again, and they'll finish from Division all the way to the Kratz.
It's an interesting timeline, the 23rd, because I would think the asphalt plants will be closed by then. So we must be leaving it dirt, I would think, like putting some gravel down maybe for the winter, and then they're going to come back.
Or they could just be driving on our hopes and dreams, whatever.
Maybe.
Whatever.
Maybe.
Who knows? We'll find out December 24th or 23rd. Who knows?
Yeah.
Could be exciting. If I'm a betting man, which I'm kind of a betting man, I'm going to probably say that's not going to be the 23rd, but you know what? Wishful thinking.
Well, there's a pretty important holiday right around there, and they probably don't want to work it. So
I wonder what that rate is. Quadruple, triple time, whatever it is.
Could you imagine?
No.
They're not working.
No.
They're not working Christmas Eve.
I don't think they have a condition in that contract of, the holiday of the year time.
Quintuple time.
Oh, so yeah, there's lots happening. A little later in the show, we'll be interviewing Jeff Burrows from the Tea Party to talk about an event, a couple of events that are happening in Windsor to support local community. We've got the Saints performance. That's
actually that works perfect. So if you live in Ruthven, you could take Road 2 to Division all the way on the 23rd, and then make your way
to Caesar's Coliseum.
To
See that thing. So
be wide open.
Oh, Kevin, any wishes for Christmas? Anything you want to see?
I don't know. World peace, solving hunger.
Mia, what are you asking Santa Claus for this year? I don't know if he knows how to make. Did I put you on the spot?
Yes.
A little bit.
Did.
That's all right.
That's okay.
An iPad.
An iPad. Santa. Do you know there's a microchip shortage?
That's what all kids want.
Right.
iPads.
Yeah. Santa Claus's elves don't know how to make microchips. I don't know. We'll see.
World peace and an iPad.
It's hand in hand. It's equivalent.
Mm-hmm. How about you?
Me?
Lions playoff?
No, I'm not that. You know what? Honestly, I've emotionally removed myself from most sports. We did get a Christmas gift, though, today. Don Mattingly.
Oh, you mean Donnie Baseball?
We were texting about this earlier. Gary, you are aware who Don Mattingly is and his sideburns, right? With the big... All of the news publications today were referring to him as Donnie Baseball.
Yeah.
I've never, and I'm fairly knowledgeable about baseball and sports, ever heard him ever referred to as Donnie Baseball. Am I just missing?
Nope. I've never heard of it.
Is it because he was a Yankee and I hated the Yankees?
I just thought he was Don Mattingly.
Yeah. Donnie sideburns, if anything, right?
Yeah.
Because that was the whole ordeal between him and who's the owner of the Yankees that used to say Steinbrenner. That's it. Yep. So yeah, we got a Christmas gift already. Like, he's a Blue Jay. He's on the bench coach. So there we go.
Yeah, always cheering for bench coaches. Think he'll really come through and run that bench.
It'll be the bench,
the best bench. Such a great bench
in the AL East.
It was actually really interesting that it got as much, like, it was everywhere today.
It was
on all the sports websites, and I got an email from the Blue Jays about it.
I got 3. Donnie Baseball's coming.
Yeah.
Twitter and Instagram.
It's so weird. Like, it's great, I guess. I mean, I'm happy, but I'm not going to notice it in the game, I'm pretty sure.
Oh. Well,
they can't even do the shift anymore.
No, we can't. There's so many new rules I got to pick up come spring training.
Yeah, I know. Actually, there are quite a few this year.
They're going to implement a pitch timer too.
Is that this
year? It's not this year, but they're going to try it again because they tried it in spring ball last year, and it was in the minors. So I think this is the last year to see whether or not they're going to implement it for the full pitch clock.
And I think RoboUmp is in AAA this year, right?
It is.
I'm excited about
finally, the strike's going to be a strike and a ball's going to be a ball.
Imagine.
Only sport in the world. Well, no. Football still is dependent on a spot.
Yeah. Well, you can contest a spot though, right?
But there's the ability for a computer to tell you exactly how far it's progressed down the field.
That's true.
Right.
Yeah.
So anyway.
Actually, have you seen so weird, but World Cup, obviously, so you don't
never heard of it.
No, it's this soccer tournament. I think it's happening in the desert somewhere.
Yeah.
The 10 a.m., right? So Canada's already out. That comment by John Herdman was so rough. He said that Canada was going to, and I'm quoting here, F Croatia, like the letter F, F. So I would assume he meant like have a friendly with Croatia, or enjoy a delicious Frankfurter with Croatia.
That's aggressive.
Yeah. So then Croatia pounded Canada 4-1. Like Canada was. They scored the opening goal in like I think the second minute, and then it was pretty rough after that.
Croatia wiped the floor.
Yeah, so that eliminated Canada. So it was them and Qatar were the only two. Were the first two eliminated countries from the World Cup, and then tomorrow they play Morocco, and Morocco they beat Belgium, right? Yeah, and Belgium is the number 2 in the world. Which is kind of a bogus ranking, it seems now, because they've been playing terrible. But
how much did they pay to be second? Did I insinuate that FIFA?
But they've been showing off, and I don't watch a lot of soccer or European football or whatever you want to call it, because I'm sure Steve would yell at me about something.
And you're getting this out while he's not here.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
Because I don't know.
And the second that Steve's back, he's gonna spend like 17 minutes correcting everything I get wrong.
He's gonna listen to this, and he's like, Dave, that comment that you made earlier, and this right now, Kevin.
Yeah, all of this is wrong.
Sorry, Steven.
The offs. Have you watched any games?
No.
So they have like VAR, which is the video review.
Okay.
And they have these graphics that they show for offsides where they basically take like the two players and like have the offside line and show exactly like overlaid exactly how far away they are. That technology is astounding.
And that's why I don't understand why the NFL, one of the biggest leagues in the world, still relies on a guy with a couple of sticks and some chain in.
It's kind of fun. It's fun watching them waddle out with the chains. Like it's honestly, it's one of my favorite. I love watching them walk out.
Can I get a measurement?
Like, how has no one tripped on the chain? Like, that's all I could think. Like, I really want to see like chain tripping bloopers.
YouTube, you guarantee it. When you're done watching our video on YouTube, just clickety clack in.
First, subscribe and like, and then.
Thank you. Should we give Jeff a call?
Yeah.
Let's give Jeff a call. All right. And joining us on that Kingsville podcast, special guest, local celebrity, Jeff Burrows from the Tea Party and Crash Karma. Welcome to that Kingsville podcast, Jeff.
How are you, man?
Fantastic. It's the Christmas season now. We're into December.
Yeah.
Time for joy, celebrations, happiness. Kevin's smiling.
It kind of sneaks up on you, doesn't it, December?
I
find...
Every year when it's the American Thanksgiving, because we're so local to Detroit, when their holiday happens, it's a time warp to the next year. Like you blink, bam, it's the next year.
If you haven't picked up your gifts, you better get on it.
Yeah, no kidding. So the Christmas season, obviously for you, Jeff, you've been doing the Saints concerts for years now. Actually, how many years have you guys been doing it?
So this is year 12.
Wow.
What started out as just like we really didn't know. Do you want me to get into how this came about? Okay.
Sure.
Well, so 12th year we've been doing it, albeit the 10th year had to be virtual. Last year we were going to be live and we got canceled at the last minute due to COVID, and then now we're back at it concert-wise. So when it first started, I was just brought into the office of a man by the name of Ron Sagan, who is a VP at St. Clair College. And he had worked the year before with Jody Raffoul, who obviously everyone knows. And they wanted to see if we could do something special, sort of, for lack of a better term, executive produced by St. Clair College, to, put their name top of mind, to help raise funds for not only a local charity, but for their in-house, in-school food bank, because they do have that issue even with students, right? Obviously, it affects everyone. So that started 12 years ago, and when Jody and I first started talking about it, we really didn't have an idea as to what we were going to do. So we just thought, you know what, let's get our friends together and try to put a little band together, and let's see what happens. Are we going to do a CD? We didn't know, or make an album, or just a show, or. And honestly, until the fourth year, we still weren't quite sure what was expected or what we were going to do. And now we're on fully automated mode. So after we had gotten together, we had kind of firmed up our lineup, and he brought in his best bud, Wes Buckley from Michigan, and I brought in a hero of mine who is the Tea Party's bass player's brother-in-law. So Dave Seren. We all went to high school with Dave. He's a couple of years older than me. So I thought, man, Dave would be perfect for bass. And he's so artistic, and he's got such a great vision for shows and so on and so forth. So it was that. And then we brought in Kelly Oche, or Kelly Howell. And then we brought in Mr. Chill, Kelly Hoppy. And then it just sort of exponentially grew from there. We started to record at this rehearsal space / recording place that was open in Windsor at the time. And quite literally, when we decided, you know what, let's just try to record a couple songs, that night, the producer / engineer of this place just kind of up and left. He didn't know what, I don't know if he knew what he was doing. So we developed a relationship with this young man by the name of Marty Back. And Marty has been our producer, engineer, mixer, masterer, and most recently band member. He'll perform like the percussion stuff, and especially sleigh bells, because you can turn any song into a Christmas song with sleigh bells. Mm-hmm. And we developed this relationship with him, and here we are. It started off at the Chrysler Theater at St. Clair Center for the Arts for 3 years. And then the choice was, do we start doing multiple shows because it was selling out, or we had an offer to partner with the Coliseum at Caesars Windsor, and I was chomping at the bit. I thought, this is the next level right here. We can really, really turn it into not just a bunch of friends playing our version of holiday music and or songs of hope and so on, but we could turn this into a bit of a spectacle, so not only pleasing for the ears, but pleasing for the eyes, something for the whole family. It's pretty wonderful to be able to look out into a crowd. And I mean, with my other bands, you don't really see, young little ones out there, but you do these shows, and it's crazy. I mean, the demographic is literally 2 years old to 92 years old. It's incredible, and it's not something that any of us really get to see because it's just so broad. And so here we are, 12th year. Every year we meet in January. We do a song selection, and then drums are usually done by April, but usually done in March. And then the other players, it's just a wrangling system. It's very difficult to get 9 people in to record. Plus, the majority of the band full time is music. So you don't want to take a gig away from anyone to come in and record their 12 or 13 songs. So it's a bit of a wrangling situation, but every year it gets finished, and then we take it to St. Clair College, and we get students there from their specific programs to do the artwork and so on and so forth, which makes it that much more inclusive of St. Clair College, which in turn makes it easier for me to go to the St. Clair College Alumni Association and ask them for money to put on this show. So
you don't make it a habit of just holding out a hat on the street corner to fund these things.
No. So that's it in a nutshell, man. I mean, like I said earlier, we had to do one virtually a couple years ago, and we thank sponsors like Line Unit 625, the construction laborers union, and they ponied up the money for that because everyone really loves to get involved with this. It's not hard to sell tickets, and it's not hard to solicit for sponsorship. So, and in the end, it really does help. And for the last 6 or 7 years, we've been pretty solid with the Unemployed Help Center, which is essentially the distribution area. It's called the Hub now, but they distribute to 16 local Windsor-Essex County food banks. And then we take care of our Chatham friends via Outreach for Hunger, which is a very nice lady by the name of Brenda Leclerc. So it's pretty good. We've stuck with the food banks. We've raised over $350,000 for them, and this year I'm thinking we're going to make at least 100,000. So wow. It's so great to be a part of something that has grown so organically. You know what I mean? There's no big machine. There's no big push. It's ear to the ground. Everyone, like, we're hawking CDs, like, because people still love CDs, you know? It's like, who the hell listens to CDs? But there you go. Like I said, our demo goes up to 92, so there's a lot of people that CDs are still pretty new to them.
Do you have that in 8-track? I do want to get into the whole streaming thing with you a little bit, but we'll save it for a sec. It's got to be a little strange to hear the finished songs. So when you're going in March and putting down drum tracks, and then hearing how those are turned into 100%.
I mean, half the time I don't remember what was recorded. I remember some, like this year, for instance, we did the Foo Fighters' My Hero, first off for Taylor, because he was a buddy of mine. And then secondly, and most recently, my music teacher from high school, who was a hero of mine, he just passed away from cancer, and we had him on stage with us for the last 5-6 years with a horn section that he put together, because he was a French horn player. So this year we're going to try to do something special for him and perform that song. But that was one of the songs that I obviously remember because I really wanted to nail it because it's such a drum heavy track. So
and then coming up in February, the Tea Party has a couple of shows.
Man.
Yeah.
Oh, please, hang on. Because I don't know why. Like, I'm 42 and I was 15 when the Tea Party really exploded. And, if you remember a couple of years ago before the pandemic, Rage Against the Machine was another one of those bands where it's like, you know what? I'm never going to be able to see one of my favorite bands come back around and whatnot. Yeah. And then this year I get blessed with the Tea Party in Windsor. It's fantastic.
Right?
It's like,
it's fun for us. I mean, it's an opportunity that honestly just does not present itself. Back in the day, dare I say 21 years ago, we did do a cross-Canada tour. So your Vancouver, Calgary, Edmonton, the major markets. Ontario got, I think, Toronto and maybe Ottawa, and Quebec got Montreal and Quebec City. So, but that was the day and age of tobacco companies and sponsorships.
Yeah.
Because they weren't allowed to, have commercials out where, the Camel guy is smoking cigarettes or whatever, but they could partner with the arts community and they could put on, and we would always get these demonstrations up front and like, these people are killing, and I'm like, I don't even smoke. I've got a brain. It's all good. They can do what they want. I don't care. I mean, because the shows they'd be more expensive than the Metallica tickets right now. So it's, when you have a good sponsor, it makes everything that much easier. And that's what we were afforded this time through Unity, which is partnered with Blues Fest Windsor. It's the same entity, essentially.
Oh, okay. Well, and it's the shows look like, Sarnia sold out in 3 hours?
Instantly.
Sarnia was gone in 3. Yeah. That was the idea of the Sarnia show was because the Windsor show was doing so well. And now it's sold out. So Windsor's like, this is great. Now people from Sarnia want to come to Windsor because they couldn't get to the show. So it'll be, honestly, I am not one to brag at all. I mean, I know that I can put on a good rock show and so on and so forth with my best buds, but the orchestra show is just so incredible. Like I cried during one song, I laughed during another. The last time we did this was with the Melbourne Symphony Orchestra in Sydney, or in Melbourne, Australia.
Which I was going to say, that show in Australia is almost legendary, because when I did some research beforehand, everyone raved about that.
Yeah. I mean, that symphony itself, that orchestra, is easily the best orchestra in the Southern Hemisphere of the world. Like, they are incredible. And I mean, they knew our songs better than we did. So we were just flabbergasted at how amazing it was, and the venue and so on and so forth. And I mean, honestly, you can't beat the acoustics of Caesars, because everything is top notch there and everything is upgraded annually. And then the Imperial Theater, luckily for us, is actually the theater that the International Symphony uses. So that's their home territory. So we're going to have no problems on this little, I guess, symphony tour team symphony bit. You know,
for you as a drummer, is it easier to play with a symphony? Like, you do, there's more instruments, so you know, if you flub something, you might not hear it. But at the same time, like at the same time, there's a whole lot of people relying on your beat, right?
So this is how it goes. When you're just one of three members on stage, the point that we're at now, it's muscle memory. And whenever we do want, because we don't play to a click track, we don't play to backtracks, anything pre-recorded. So we have, and it's overused, but we have that musical telepathy between the three of us. We look at each other at certain parts of songs, and if Jeff wants to veer off into this tangent, Stuart and I know where to go. It's the easiest thing on earth. It's the most pleasuresome thing I get to do in my life. It's so amazing. With the symphony, what you have to realize is they are all reading music. That music was transposed 24 years ago, and that's how we played those songs at that time. So we actually need to relearn, and we can't derive at all from what they're playing, or it turns into a big fudge, you know?
Did you find some songs you're like, did we write this song?
Did we already? Well, that's it. Like, you're like, oh shoot, you go right back into the verse here. Normally after that chorus, we do a little vamping bit and Jeff does a little solo. No, it's cut right back to the verse. So honestly, it's not physically taxing. It's the most mentally taxing thing I've ever done. And the fact that we only get to do two is a bummer, but I mean, I've already started listening to, I think it was Live in Montreal that I found a recording of online. I don't have one, but I found it, and I think the set is pretty similar to that one. And so yeah, I've already started listening, and I'll start rehearsing after Christmas, and then once the guys get here, we'll full on rehearsals and dress rehearsals. So, but yeah, it's way more different, and it's much more difficult. The last thing anyone wants to do is actually think about what they have to do when they're on stage. Yeah. So you got to wrap your head around that. The old, new versions of the songs.
Which song's the trickiest, do you think?
Something like Save Me is very tricky, because Save Me is like whatever, say an 8-minute song normally, but on the road, it has gone from 8 minutes to 26 minutes. Just depends on how it's going. You know, like Jeff will throw in a bow bit, and I have a little bit of a solo bit, and then we put the Rolling Stones Painted Black in the middle of it. And then,
that,
you know what I mean?
That cover of that song, again, like the talent that the band has is just something that's not found in Canada or worldwide. But that rendition of that song is, in my opinion, which I'm just a moron from Kingsville, the best cover of a Rolling Stones song. You do it.
Oh, thanks.
You do it that much. So I'm glad to hear that that's involved in a regular set list for you.
Yeah, but you won't hear it at the symphony show.
No, understandably.
But that was actually done. We were we were in studio recording, I think, Triptych, and our publicist got a hold of us, and I think we were in Montreal at Morin Heights, the very famous Morin Heights, where Rush and Police and David Bowie and Keith Richards and the Bee Gees, like everyone is recorded there. It's the studio. And we just got a call one day and said, look, there's a producer who has a movie coming out, and they want you guys. There was like 5 different bands to do a cover of this. And we were like, okay. So we literally ripped it in an hour and a half, 2 hours. And we loved it, and the producer didn't like it. So it was like,
Well, fine. We'll just keep it for ourselves.
Nice try, Tea Party.
Maybe you'll catch on soon, you know.
Yeah. Keep trying. Yeah. Swing for the stars, baby.
You've got the 2 shows coming up. Are you thinking of hitting the road this summer again?
Yeah, well, they were talking about Australia in March, April, or May. I don't know what's up with that. We don't really jump the gun on anything because just the way health and everything has been lately for the last couple of years. So if that happens, that'll be great. I think the next Canadian stuff was supposed to be early fall. So that's great because this year was nice in a sense that there was no tour bus and the guys were here. So Jeff's living in Australia for the last 15 years. Stuart's been out in Vancouver area probably close to 15 years as well now. So when we get together, it's usually, we'll start in Vancouver and you hop on a bus and then you make your way east or vice versa, wherever. And this time it was like, all right, come home. So Stuart came home. He stayed with his folks. Jeff came home. He stayed with his dad. And then we would literally fly out of Windsor to Toronto to the East Coast, and then fly home 2 days off, then fly to like Timmins or Montreal or whatever, and then fly home. So for me, being the hometown guy still, I thought it was great because I could come home and sleep in my bed and not have to, sleep on a tour bus for, I think that whole run ended up being about 5.5 weeks or so, with days off in the middle. So it was a great way to do it. It was really fantastic. I felt like this is probably what Elton John does, only on his private. He does shows and flies home. And I thought, this is amazing, man. I don't have to sit in a tour bus.
I know even when we were working at the radio station together, we would talk and you would be working out because you had to get in shape for a tour coming up. Are you? Yeah. Do you still you still got to hit the gym? And
ironically, today is the first day of my cleanse. So there you go. I'm pretty ornery right now, man. I'm freaking starving.
Let's have an interview with a couple of morons from Kingsville. See how that goes.
You guys are getting on my nerves.
Stop asking me stupid questions.
And it's I'm sure touring for you has changed over the 20 years. It's funny. I had forgotten you played this show, but before we came to the studio, I was showing Mia, who's here in the studio with us, my daughter, some clips of the Tea Party so that she knew the songs, but I wanted to make sure that she had seen the videos, knew who it was that we were talking to when she came in. And I forgot you guys played Sarstock.
Oh my gosh.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And so I found so we watched the whole set and but I was there and I was, feeling pretty good.
You had SARS.
But I forgot you were there. So going from, doing those tours to now, flying to your shows and, looking forward to getting home to having a good night's sleep. It must have changed quite a bit.
Yeah. I mean, back then, we were pretty seasoned at least then. That was that in 2003? So we were together for 13 years at that point. And we had already done the tour bus thing and traveled abroad, luckily, to many, many countries all over the place. So that was cool. That was such an amazing night, though. I mean, that was, backstage, hanging with the dudes. Like, I was like, what is going on? Like, Keith Richards is walking by me. He's a tiny little guy, and there's Neil from Rush, and there's the Blue Rodeo guys, and there's Sam Roberts and my band drinking beers. It was just,
yeah, but you can't deny, Jeff. You're in the Mount Rushmore of Canadian content, artistry, and band popularity. Like, there's no denying it.
I guess, yeah. I just don't really think like that. But it was such a blast. I mean,
I think it's generationally, right? Like, again, you guys came up in a time when Canadian music content was really starting to take off internationally. Like, the group of musicians and artists that came out of this country went global at a wildfire pace, and the Tea Party was there on that international stage representing.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. I got to admit, and it was, I'm still grateful and still, blown away by the whole thing, because back to the original question, what you were talking about. I mean, it's just as fun being on stage now as it ever was. And if you can say it, I mean, I think I actually play harder now than I did when I was a kid. Oh, maybe not, but it sure feels like it.
Arthritis. That's arthritis.
Yeah, I got arthritis in my left knee. But it's just, I don't know. You're so blessed to be on stage with your two best friends, and you get to do this, and they pay you to do it, and you get to travel, and you've got friends all over the world now, and since the internet, I mean, I keep in touch with people everywhere, from Germany to England to Australia to New Zealand to you name it. It's so cool, and you never had that before, and it's such a crazy thing to be a part of, and I'm just grateful that I'm still able to get to do it
with the internet. And I don't think I've ever told you this story. So when in 1995, I had a copy of Splendor Solace that I had basically burned out, and I stood in line outside the Music World in Portage Place in Peterborough, waiting for Edges of Twilight to come out.
Yeah,
all right, man.
Like in line waiting.
I was HMV in Devonshire Mall.
There you go.
and just having that CD in my hand and rushing home and listen to it and from front to back and trying to figure out, like, why did they order the songs the way they did? What's the message behind them? Like, what's the deal? Reading all the liner notes. And now, I can just go on my phone and tap the song I want to listen to, and it starts playing immediatally.
That was... Go ahead.
No, you go, Jeff. I was just going to say, like, how that has to have changed almost the entire mindset of all of it. Putting music together, putting it out, trying to figure out how to get it promoted, making money.
Yeah, I feel bad. I mean, I don't feel bad for younger generation in a lot of sense for what they do have now technologically. But there was something so very, I don't know if romantic is the best word, but something romantic about saving your money, going to the store, picking up that vinyl or the CD or whatever, and then reading the liner notes and then looking at pictures. Like, I remember how jazzed I'd get seeing, like, oh my God, there's Neil Peart, and he's behind this mountain of drums and this, cymbals everywhere, or ACD, and just having my mind blown, thinking, wow, what was that like? And you know what I mean? And it's kind of lost now. It's just like, okay, I want it. I'm going to click it. I don't look at any artwork. I don't care what the band said about it. It's just, there it is. And I don't know. It's a bit of a lost thing.
Back in the 90s, we had to have like friend groups that would turn each other on to different music scenes. And, I was very lucky that I had friends that were from the East Coast of Canada. So I got turned on to a lot of East Coast bands and influences. And then there was a little bit out of the prairies and Winnipeg and whatnot. And then, the Toronto scene and a little bit out in BC. So, we all kind of collectively in our groups was like, hey, you ever heard of Mystery Machine? Or like,
and it was all organic, right? Like, it was like, okay, I'm going to check this out. And then you get deeper, then you get into their back catalog, and you're like, oh, I just loved that, man. Loved it.
And now on the internet, as long as you got a website, then anybody can find you. But back then, it was like a treasure hunt, and we all kind of and the Tea Party was part of that because we here in the Windsor area had some awareness. A little bit before Much Music brought it to the rest of the nation.
Yeah. For me, it was The Edge in Toronto, 102.1.
102.1.
And but those iconic rock radio stations are different now.
They're gone.
They're programmed
and
different.
they're more even if they do or don't play the Tea Party, they've become less and less they're owned by a larger company. So many of them, they share the same thing. So I follow most radio stations in Canada, and then I see the exact same tweet verbatim, and it's posted, and it's the same company, and it's just, that's the only little frustrating thing I don't like, because I like your satellite and your Sirius XM and whatnot, but I love hometown radio. I really do. And I loved it when they would be able to embrace whatever artist they wanted to. Whereas now it's like, well, how are they doing on the chart? What's Kingston and Toronto playing right now? Or what's Montreal doing? And they always follow the leaders, and it's just turned into, again, I don't want to sound like a crotchety old guy, because honestly, I'm not. There's so many great young bands out there, and there really is. But I just don't like the way things are programmed anymore. It's, the same 500 songs over and over and over. Like, I'd love to start a radio station and just call it B-sides and just play B-sides. Cool bands that that you've never heard this song unless you have the albums. I think it would be great.
How much is a CRTC license?
Yeah, I think we could probably make it.
Let's do this.
They got live from Kingsville.
Giving them away with like a box of cereal. Buy 2 boxes of cereal at Zayre's.
I'll just buy the penthouse floor, so downtown Windsor condo or something. We'll just put up a little antenna there.
Pirate Windsor Pirate Radio.
Pirate Radio.
Yeah. But there's not too many of those stations even left that are doing any rock. Like we were on what the, like, obviously 89X here was iconic, but really, like, the rock that you were on, Jeff, and I helped with news was a true Canadian rock station in the,
it really was,
in the same light as what The Edge was doing, or what Craig Venn's doing in 94.9, or the Bear out in Ottawa, or any of those kind of iconic Canadiana rock stations, and they were the reason that a lot of the Canadian rock was what it was. Like, it was, they were
absolutely,
had to play it.
I remember finishing a show in Toronto. So we used to do like Thursday night in Windsor at the Coach and Horses, Friday night at Call the Office in London, and then Saturday night we started at a club called Se, which really wasn't a music club, but that's where we started, and then eventually got up to like your Lee's Palace and stuff. But on our way home, it'd be like 4 a.m. and we were driving right past Brampton, and that was the first time we had heard Save Me on the radio ever. And we were like, what is happening right now? We thought we were tripping because it was pretty late and we're driving home. three kids in a van, right? But no, that was great. And that's how it started. And it was very generic. And, anyway, I don't want to talk about glory days. Things are wonderful, but they really are. I mean, there's so many opportunities out there for young bands right now, and so many ways and means by which they can get to a level where they can put food on their family's table. So, anytime anyone asks me anything about music, I just say, you've got to look, because there's some great music out there. And the fact is, you have to be able to play. Unless you want to be a pop singer, you have to be able to play, and you have to be able to sing, whether it's rock, country, whatever,
Yeah, there's fewer musical gatekeepers, but fewer amplifiers, it seems.
Yeah.
But hey, Jeff, you're making your appearances here locally. Hopefully, knock on wood, the old Saints and Sinners tour that got canceled a couple of years ago, and that star-studded lineup. Hopefully, something of that comes around, because to see those iconic Canadian bands do one more, cross continent tour, I think just absolutely epic. But
I thought, you know what? And I'm not taking credit, but I'm taking credit because I brought that up about not quite 10 years ago, and I was laughed at. I'm like, and I brought it up to my manager and my agent. I'm like, why don't we do? Because you'll see if you go to Pine Knob, you'll see these 80s bands that would not be able to sell out Pine Knob, but you put Warrant, Cinderella, and Poison together, and they're selling out Pine Knob. I'm like, why don't we do that with the 90s? And I thought maybe they thought it was a little too early or whatever. But anyway, it came to fruition, and then got canceled, and came to fruition, got canceled, and came to fruition, got canceled. So that might even happen this fall. I honestly don't know. There's been no talk about it, but it was such a good price, for the punters, like 4 bands for $99. And the rooms were all geared for great sound, and you know, we were sharing crew. There was something like 6 buses and 4 semis booked. Like, it was going to be a gong show. I was so jazzed, but you know, things happen, and I'm sure it'll get back there. And I don't think it'll be a one-time thing. Honestly, I think it's the way of the future for a lot of the bands, because you know, why not play in front of more people? Because you know, a lot of people have heard of the Tea Party, but maybe their favorite band was Moist.
Yeah.
And they had only heard, you know, the hits, and then they hear some of our deeper cuts when we're playing live. Well, then they're going to go out and buy the music. And honestly, that's what it's all about, is just getting in front of more faces. It doesn't, you know, it's not how much money you bring in. If you can stay alive and you have a good life and so on, just like any job that you can enjoy, then that's what it's all about. And when you can do it in front of more faces and turn more people on, it's the best feeling in the world. So.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, with the couple events that are coming up for you here locally in Windsor, again, to recap, we've got the Saints on December 23rd at 8 p.m., Caesars Coliseum. For tickets, go to www.slayinghunger.com. And then in February, on February 3rd at 8 p.m. at the Coliseum again, the Tea Party with the International Symphony Orchestra, a concert to benefit transition to betterness programs and essential frontline workers. So we can catch you locally ahead of time, even if you guys don't go out on the road.
Yeah. And you can go to Caesars. You can go to Caesars.com too. You don't have to look at all the crazy Slaying Hunger names and such, but you should hit up Slaying Hunger, because that's where you can buy all of our 12 Saints albums, Saints merch. It's mailed to you. We mail it across Canada, around the world, I believe. So it's pretty cool.
Man, it's a fantastic initiative to help local people in need in the holiday season. So, Jeff, you know, thank you for taking the time here on your first day of your cleanse. We understand that these are trying times.
I gotta go.
Just stick with it. Stick with it. It's all worth it.
Thanks for not screaming at us. We appreciate it.
Yeah, no. Again, Jeff Burrows from the legendary Tea Party and Crash Karma. Thanks for joining us on That Kingsville podcast.
Thanks very much, fellas.
So, yeah, Kevin, it's going to be a great event in February. I can't wait to see the show. I've been very fortunate in seeing a lot of really good musicians play at the Coliseum and in other venues in Windsor. So I'm looking forward to that. You know, maybe that's my Christmas gift to myself. Is
get yourself some tickets.
The best tickets I can get.
It's going to be such. Seeing Tea Party play is always fantastic. Yeah. Seeing them with the symphony is going to be astounding. I was supposed to see the Wu-Tang Clan and the Detroit Symphony Orchestra. Anybody know who that is? The Wu-Tang
Clan.
I've heard of them.
Yes, would have been 2020, but that show got canceled indefinitely. Yeah, as per that. So that would have been another symphony with a very unusual pairing for artisans, or artists. So yeah, you did end up seeing Wu-Tang though, right? I did see Wu-Tang, but not with the symphony. Not with the symphony. So it was a look into my life. Anyway, thanks for joining us on That Kingsville podcast. Thanks for Jeff Burrows for joining us and talking about the initiatives and the events that he's got going on. Again, www.slayinghunger.com or Caesars.com for all the ticketing and event information. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe and like. Thanks, Kev. We'll see you next time.